Well, buckle up. I think it's going to be chaotic like it was in the first term. You know, Trump doesn't have a philosophy. He doesn't do policy in the sense we normally understand that. His decisions are very transactional, and he has trouble distinguishing between his own interest and the national interest. I think that was evident in the first term. I think it would be even more evident in a second term. Well, I think in the case of Ukraine and the war in the Middle East, it's pretty clear Trump wants these wars off the table. He considers them Biden's wars. He has said that if he had been president, neither one would have happened. I don't think that's accurate, but that's what he thinks. And I think he's in kind of a rush to find a way to end them, which implies that he doesn't care all that much on what terms they end. And that could be, I'm afraid, very bad news for the Ukrainians. Could be good news for the Israelis. We don't know, but Trump's not interested so much in the substantive outcome as to clear his agenda of these legacy items, if you will, from the Biden presidency. With respect to China, you know, it's a very significant question. He during the campaign, Trump's rhetoric against China was very strong. He basically blames China because it was the origin of the COVID virus for costing him the 2020 election, which in his view was obviously unfair. But at the same time, just in the past couple of weeks, on the question of whether TikTok, this very popular app owned by the Chinese company ByteDance, he's turned from worried about TikTok as an intelligence vehicle for the Chinese intelligence community to saying he's going to try and save TikTok. And it's reported in the past couple of days he's very eager to visit Xi Jinping in Beijing. So will Trump turn out to be a China hawk or a China negotiator? Again, as in the first term, we just don't know. Well, it's I can say this, it's nothing personal to India. This is Donald Trump who takes credit for everything. You know, I think he did have a call with Prime Minister Modi. I think Vice President Vance and Secretary of State Rubio were on the phone. I'm sure many other countries were calling to see what they might be able to do. And it's typical Trump that he would jump in before everybody else and take credit. So it may be irritating, probably is irritating to many people, but it's nothing that's intended to be a step against India. It's just Trump being Trump.
But I said, don't go in. They went in. It was such a bad decision. So Bolton, see again, you get back. Bolton, a real dope. But I thought he'd be great because he was so stupid. He was like a boiler. Every time, if somebody shot down a little tiny crappy drone that cost about $15, he'd want to go to war with Russia. I said, no, I think he was great for me, though, for a period of time because he was a nut job, and everybody, I could see his face get red with that stupid white mustache, and he'd be ready to explode. And this was good for me. I went to Kim Jong-un in North Korea. I took this moron with me, and he never said anything. But when Kim Jong-un saw him, he said, oh, I think the guy wants to go to war. So he was great for me to negotiate with. The same thing with Russia. You know, when Putin saw him, I'd be very nice. I'd say, hi, Vladimir, how you doing? And then Putin's, you know, 2 rows back, and he'd see that moron, and he'd say, holy, this guy wants to go to war with me. It always works out bad with that guy. I said, oh, man, I wish you told me this 2 weeks ago. I already hired him. You know, he's here. And he was right. But he was good in a certain way. He's a nut job. And every time I had to deal with a country, when they saw this whack job standing behind me, they said, oh, man, Trump's going to go to war with us. He was with Bush when they went stupidly into the Middle East. They should have never done it. I used to say it as a civilian. So I always got more publicity than other people. And it wasn't like I was trying. In fact,